So I have had the opportunity actually throughout my, let's see, I'm coming up on 9-10 years of practice, and I've had the opportunity a few times to change companies. People have approached me, and I know, we all know people in the field, and I always come back to a couple different things that are super unique about Hippo. And even so, before we were independently owned, but even now as a corporation, it very much does not feel like the nightmares that you hear about corporations. So I have colleagues and friends, in other corporations, and, they say everything's about the money, everything's about this or that, or we try and get a hold of this medical director, but they don't even live in the state, or we try and get a hold of this regional director, but they're like out of the country, or whatever, these people who like have never even been to our hospital, but they're trying to tell us like how to run things. And that's one thing that I think Hippo's done very well, even becoming a larger corporation, is they've maintained quite a lot of autonomy for individual hospitals. So, we're within a 5 to 10 mile radius of 3 other Hippo hospitals, but they have different niches, they have different demographics, they have, spay neuter clinic and ER. And even this GP location versus my hybrid location, like ours are slightly different. The staff needed is slightly different. The pricing is slightly different because we know that we are a whole different ball of wax. You can't just compare apples to oranges. And so that's been something that I think they've done really well, is they take each hospital at the individual level and say, hey, here's your current metrics, here, what is a realistic goal? And I was shocked at our, our first budget meeting where they're like, okay, this is what we're thinking for a goal. And we're like, yeah, that's totally attainable. We thought we were gonna get this ridiculous, unreachable goal, and it's really not. It's been super attainable, and I think they try to be really realistic. We have, not just our hospital directors who kind of convey the really ins and outs, the nitty gritty, but we also have a regional director who kind of understands the where you're at in your state or your city or your whatever, and they have a feel for like what prices and people do, and the the standard of care in that area, and so I think there's a really good what works for me here in Santan Valley, Arizona, is not going to work for Scottsdale or for or heaven forbid out of state. And so I think they're really good at leaving a lot of autonomy for the individual hospital level, and the hospital director and the medical director and the admin team get to make a lot of choices. There's still some big things that I would have handled before we were Hippo Veterinary Group that now we have to talk through other people with, but I would say 80% of the day-to-day stuff is still largely in our hands, and that feels good when you're used to kind of making those decisions. That was probably the hardest part for me, was like, oh, I can't just decide everything now. I have to actually ask a couple people about certain things. But for the most part, day-to-day wise, a lot of autonomy, which was huge for me, because I was worried about that. And then I think just having bean counters who don't know what they're talking about does not seem to be a problem here with Hippo Group. And so those were the 2 main things I was worried about when becoming a corporation in the first place. And it seems like my fears have been largely unfounded. So I'm really happy to report that.